sight, for my monster from its slab began to rise, and suddenly, to my surprise,
Monster Mash!
He did the monster.
Sorry. It's Halloween, you know. How could you not? So, rationalize the denominator, 2-6 algebra example number 1. Okay, there we go. So, we just learned in our last video that in order to rationalize a denominator, you need to multiply both the top and the bottom of your fraction by that irrational number in the denominator. And it makes sense that we have to multiply both the top and the bottom by something because otherwise it wouldn't be equal, just like when we are finding common denominators with our little fractions there. So if you look at my example 1, the irrational number is that square root of 7. So I am going to take and I'm going to multiply the top and the bottom pieces by the square root of 7. 5 times the square root of 7, that's like multiplying 5 times x, so that just gives you 5 square roots of 7. Now, the square root of 7 times the square root of 7 turns into the square root of 49, which at this point you could jump right to your little calculator. Square root of 7 times square root of 7. You'll see that ends up with 7 because the square root of 49 is, of course, 7. So I have 5 square roots of 7 on the top and plain old 7 on the bottom, which notice my denominator is no longer an irrational number. 7 is a nice normal rational number, so we like it, so we're good to go, and that is our final answer for example 1. Next, example 2. So this one's getting a little bit more complicated. We have a couple extra pieces involved, but never fear, we can do this, I promise. So looking at this example 2, what is the irrational piece? Is it the -3? Is it the 4? Is it the square root of 6? It's the square root of 6. Good job. So I'm going to multiply both the top and the bottom of that fraction by the square root of 6. -3 times the square root of 6, again, that's just -3 square roots of 6 divided by. Now here on the bottom, that 4 is being multiplied by the square root of 6. So that 4 stays on the outside being multiplied. The square root of 6 times the square root of 6 is just the square root of 36, which then simplifies to the square root of 36 is, excuse me, I just had lunch. The square root of 36 is 6, so again, we still have that multiplication going on, so finish that off with one last step by multiplying the 4 times 6, getting -3 square roots of 6 over 24. However, we aren't done yet because that 3 and that 24 can be simplified. What you can't do is you can't simplify a whole number with something inside of the radical. So even though 3, 6, and 24 are all divisible by 3, I can't touch that square root of 6 because it's under that square root. But I can simplify the -3 by 3 and the 24 by 3. To get a final simplified answer of -1 square roots of 6 divided by 24 divided by 3 is 8. So there is our final simplified rationalized answer.